We're live. Yes, we finally made it back to the living here in beautiful Boulder Creek, California. This is Dr. Future, a.k.a. Al Lundell.
He is not pre-recorded, although this show
I'm not
may
pre-recorded. Oh, you might be hearing this as a pre-recording. Come on.
Unless you know to tune in to SantaCruzVoice.com on Tuesdays from 1 to 3, which is when we air live. We take call-ins. We talk to our buddies online. We tell you what's up in the news, in space.
And hey, we even have some intro music.
Are you ready?
Yeah, let's try that.
Let's give
it a shot.
Okay, here you go.
Hey kids, what time is it?
The future is coming on, it's coming on, it's coming on, it's coming. Yeah.
And coming on to you from San Francisco is our very own Bobby Wilder. Bobby, welcome to the show.
Yeah, so glad to be here with you all.
We're so glad you're here with us too, Bobby.
We had the pleasure of Bobby coming down to the beach house in the middle of the night.
Through the pouring rain.
The pouring rain to help me with speeding up our NAS, our network.
That's right.
To
but of course, it is
10 times the speed it is now.
A celebratory evening. He got to have his first ever dinner at the Shadowbrook.
But no fault of our own. Well,
That's
maybe
right.
indirectly.
No, you never knew about the Shadowbrook before now, did you, Bobby?
No, I didn't even know where I was going. And I got there, it's like, wow, they even have a tram that goes down, and this restaurant is on many different layers.
Yeah, it's a remarkable place. It really. Yeah. And the funny thing is that Bobby was on his way to our dinner party, and he got waylaid by the Shadowbrook,
which was just perfect because we were kind of out of seats anyway. So,
and fortunately, our friend
did an upgrade.
Dave took pity on poor.
Yeah.
Bobby and got him a nice steak dinner at the Shadowbrook.
They had a celebratory Shadowbrook.
The best ever.
And Bobby, I want you to know,
time.
Shadowbrook, for those of us who are old school Santa Cruzers, is the place that we take our parents on special holidays. I was at the Shadowbrook for Mother's Day with my mother-in-law over the years, and we go there for special birthdays.
You remember your Shadowbrook experiences?
Yeah. They're peak experience
special.
meals there. Very special. Yeah.
What was your favorite part, the dining or the tram?
The food was excellent. I had a tip sirloin steak. It was great. The dessert was great. The room on the top, it looks like you're inside a terrarium or something. There's this sky, all these glass roof, ceiling coming down.
Yeah.
And all these plants on the outside and the inside, and it was amazing.
Yeah, it's
it's
alive.
like a movie set or something.
It is. It's a Twilight Zone.
It's a real world movie set. It's not a movie set. It's reality.
Yeah.
Makes it even better.
I think the last time we were there, we were celebrating Andrea's birthday, and our waitress had just gotten the job, and she let us know that she was a singing waitress, and that if we ordered some drinks and if we ordered some dessert, then she could sing for us. And the Shadowbrook is an old converted mansion, and it has many little alcove rooms, and so our room was at the bottom of this stairway. And we, of course, did order drinks and did order desserts because it was a special occasion. And our waitress at the end of, just as she was bringing us our check, when she was bringing us the sparkling candle dessert, she was singing, and she was the worst singer you've ever heard in your life. It was hilarious. She was a complete comedian.
Comedian about it. See, that's where you turn your bugs into features.
But she was really upselling everything,
Bugs. Yeah.
So beware of singing waitresses at the Shadowbrook.
Get them to at least test a few bars on you first.
Right.
Yeah, just,
yeah, make them audition.
Worth the experience either way. Coming down that staircase is amazing.
Yeah. Anyway,
so
a lot of happy.
I'm glad you had the Shadowbrook experience. You're not in Santa Cruz until you've had that.
That's right.
Thanks to Behind Dave for
That's right.
luring him there.
That's right. They knew how
I
to
didn't
set
know
the
anything
bait.
like that existed.
Yeah, it's out of this world, literally.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when Katya's not there. Go out to dinner for once.
The only thing that disturbed me a little bit that evening was not that you missed our dinner, but the fact that we were about an hour into working on the network when, boom, the power fails. Power fails on the whole strip
so
of houses
there you were.
along the
Bobby
beach.
has covered the continent. He's
get to an
trudged
hour's
through
worth of
the
work.
storm.
Yeah.
He's there to do the late night work with Al, and boom, the power dies.
Yeah, but we got something done, though. So it
Yeah,
was
we got some things working. More to do. Yeah.
right.
But anyway, we're going to speed up your network. 10 gigabits per second.
10 gigabits.
Ethernet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually fiber.
And to give a reference,
Your NAS was doing like 75 megabits per second transfer rate. And so we're hoping to get it over 300. Yeah.
from 75.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's underway, and we're playing with a technology that's readily available. So if you need a high-speed network in your house, we'll be able to give you some clues.
Yeah. There's Black Friday sales going on right now. And so you can get these switches. They have two 10 gigabit inputs, and then they have 2.5 gigabit, four of them outputs, in and outs. They're all in and outs. Yeah, I think they're only like $40 or $45.
Yeah, that's definitely commercial. That's rarely available. Yeah, over on Amazon, right?
Yes, at Amazon. Yeah, it's called Nick Giga is the company. They have a sale going on. Normally they're like $80, $100. When they first came out, they were $150 for the same switch, but now they're down to like $40.
And this will allow, in my case, to be able to move video files easily around from machine to machine, from iPad to laptop to desktop to big screen, easily and effortlessly, ideally, in the house.
We also put in, I gave you last year this MikroTik router, which has a 10 gigabit port on it, and then it has a 2.5 gigabit, and then 1 gigabit. But it can actually take two internet sources and combine them and bond the two.
Yeah, sometimes we really need that. Like our internet service goes down and you need a backup, and this router would automatically switch over to your backup, or backups, if you will, which could include your phone data.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you could take your T-Mobile cellular internet, and then you combine that with your etheric networks over the air.
Yeah, our beam
internet
to the top
and
of
it would
the Loma
combine,
Prieta here.
and it would bond the two so that it would sum up the upload and download speed together. It can also do load balancing, so if one of them fails, it could flip over to the other. But if they're both working, it would actually combine the speed.
So you even have higher speed capability, which is what we might need today if we experiment with our new call-in number.
Yes.
Let's go to my favorite area, outer space. Initially, we'll go inner more with Bobby soon. We've got a couple stories I think are up your alley. But I wanted to mention this NASA nuclear-powered helicopter, or rotocraft as they call it. It's going to be riding up on a SpaceX Falcon Heavy soon towards the Saturn moon of Titan.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
All right, the Dragonfly helicopter. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, this is a monster. It's a $3.35 billion mission that's going to be looking for life on Saturn's moon Titan. Mm-hmm. All right. It's one of our most burly rockets.
Burly? Did
burly
you say?
rocket.
It's a burly rocket.
It's a burly man. It's very burly. SpaceX Falcon Heavy, man. Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, it's also the
size of a car, this thing.
Yeah,
huh?
yeah.
It's rotocraft.
It's a big helicopter, man. It's a rotocraft for another planet.
All right. And it's hitting Titan in 6 years, 2020. Let's see.
Yeah.
They're launching in 2028.
Space time, which is usually years, right? 2028, it's going to go up, but they're working on it now. Mm-hmm. And they're going to be looking at a very different characteristic. It's not like exploring the ocean. Well, I guess it is in a way, but it's an ocean of hydrocarbons.
Oh, hydrocarbons. That means like oil.
Organic compounds. Mm-hmm. The building blocks of life as we know it. Are an ocean there.
Organic.
Common on that world.
Isn't that what we put in our gas tanks?
Yes. No shortage of hydrocarbons.
Plastic is made of?
Hydrocarbons are us on that planet. People who love hydrocarbons are probably from there.
Isn't methane a hydrocarbon?
Yes. Yes. And it is all there on Titan.
Okay.
Organic compounds, as we know it, are common on that world. So, as such, naturally, our scientists think, well, if there's all these compounds of life, maybe there's life itself.
Well,
Hey,
apparently, according
what
to
a concept.
NASA, they think they think Titan is one of the most Earth-like worlds in our solar system, besides us, obviously. But Titan is one of the next places we're looking to see if there's signs of the origins of our kind of life.
Something alluring us there. So these scientists are paying attention to, I guess you might call the sirens of Titan.
The Sirens of Titan, right?
Yes, Kurt Vonnegut. That was the name of one of his books.
So we have SpaceX that's sending this up.
Yes, yeah, with a Falcon Heavy.
Wow. I mean, isn't this the first time that we've got a Falcon Heavy that's actually going to a planet?
No, actually, we used the same rocket earlier this October for the NASA's Psyche asteroid probe and the Europa Clipper spacecraft. Both used a Falcon Heavy. Okay, that was October 23 and 24, respectively.
So the Falcon is what they use when they want to launch the mission to the outer planets, right?
Well, it's a big rocket. It's when you have a bigger payload.
The Heavy.
Yeah, in this case, it's a car-sized helicopter, basically.
Right. Yeah.
And big. It's not that little tiny thing that was on Mars.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
I mean, it
Endeavor.
looks like
Wasn't that called Endeavor?
Yeah, it looks like a VTOL. You know, it looks like something that Joby would make or something.
You're right. Does it carry passengers? Probably microbes. So they're going to look there. Dragonfly's payload will be looking at the Titan's environment more closely. They'll be investigating the chemistry.
Yeah,
the
I'm looking at
prebiotics.
a little article about the Titan's atmosphere. Let me just tell you what they
Okay.
know about it, right?
Sure. Yeah. Tell me about Titan, Mrs. Future.
Well, it's mainly composed. The atmosphere of Titan, for one thing, it's huge. It's hundreds of miles up. They used to think Titan was the largest planet until the Voyager ascertained. Let me see if I'm citing the right mission here. In the 1980s, they found out that it was not the largest planet. It was a huge atmosphere, and that Ganymede is actually the largest planet, and Titan is the second of the not planet.
Okay,
but
but
the
it's
satellites.
still worth
Jupiter.
looking for life, though.
Right, the satellites of Saturn, and the atmosphere is. Let me go back to my little
Of Titan,
summary here.
or are we
We're talking about of Titan, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Oh man.
The Hardin Cape Lake.
Well, I lost my
There
place.
goes your cheat notes.
There goes my cheat notes. I'm trying to impress you by reading the
All right, well,
internet.
see if you can find it. Well,
I found it. I found
okay,
it.
okay.
Okay.
I don't
All
have
right.
to say anything then.
Yeah, I would obviously lose the audition for this job, but here, the okay, so
Go ahead, Mrs. Future.
the atmosphere is Titan is an orange haze,
Yeah, what's that?
and it's been
Orange
it extends
haze.
about 370 miles high,
Wow.
which makes it a lot higher than Earth's atmosphere. And it was in
370
1980 that the
miles.
Voyager went
Yeah.
close enough to discover that the planet Titan was actually smaller than Ganymede.
They were only like 100 miles on this planet.
Right. And so this atmosphere is mainly composed of nitrogen, which, like ours, is
Ours
mainly
is, yeah.
composed of nitrogen. But
Uh-huh.
in Titan, it's like 95%. Here, I think it's more like 60%. And methane is the other
Methane.
component
Oh,
of,
well, good
of
fuel.
Titans.
Uh-huh.
And there's
gas.
organic molecules that contain carbon and hydrogen, hydrocarbons, as you said. And sometimes they also include oxygen and other elements that are similar to what is found on Earth that is essential for life. So that's why they're most interested in Titan, because the nitrogen and oxygen and hydrocarbons make it promising to find some Earth-centric
My understanding,
stories.
My understanding is that the life there might be like giant jellyfish that float in the air.
in the atmosphere, in the
atmosphere, yeah.
nitrogen atmosphere.
Yeah, they're looking for that kind of. Yeah, because a gas planet is not going to have a surface like ours.
Uh-huh.
It's going to create life in a very more of a soupy, more like oceanic type environment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, could be.
And so you'll probably have, if that's the case, then they'll be looking for air creatures of different kinds, based on the chemistry that they find. They'll be able to tune into the frequency and look, basically. You got to see what's there in order to know where to look.
Well, the Cassini
Yeah.
spacecraft, which crashed into Jupiter several years
Cassini,
ago,
yeah.
that had detected polar winds that were drawing methane and nitrogen along the magnetic field of Saturn, and it was sucking them out of the atmosphere. So,
Oh, dear.
yeah. Anyway, so Saturn was actually, removing elements of Titan's atmosphere because its gravity is so strong.
Well, okay, back to the ship.
Yes, back to the launch.
Back to the ship, yes. The
Okay,
ships.
we're about to send a probe.
Yes, it's 2.5
All
years.
eyes on Earth.
2.5 Earth years on Titan's surface is how long it's going to be lasting. It's got a warranty of 2.5 years before you have to return it to Whole Foods.
So it's leaving. It's leaving
Yeah.
soon. It'll take 6 years to get there, and it'll
Yeah,
study
it'll go
it for
flit
2.5
around. It'll
years.
flit around and explore the planet, various locations. I don't know how far the range is, but I guess if it uses hydrocarbons or methane as fuel, it's probably got unlimited fuel. Little methane concentrator on board. Off you go.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was selected in 2019, and its cost overruns have taken it from $1 billion budget initially to over $3 billion, a third billion.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not uncommon. That happens all the time.
Hey, once you
Inflation.
know that there's hydrocarbons on a planet, people will spend money to get there.
You think? Hydrocarbons age has just barely begun. What do you mean? Maybe we not use it for our particular fuel, but for the universe, it's a big thing. At least for the life of.
Yeah, I think the trip probably costs less because the Falcon Heavy, it doesn't cost as much as a regular.
As a rocket when they destroy the whole thing, as compared to one that's reusable.
And wow, and so this is a rotor aircraft. I mean, this thing is going to be flying over the surface for a long time.
Well, I don't think there is a surface. I mean, but yeah, there is.
There's a big atmosphere on
big,
on
huge,
Titan.
390-mile atmosphere as opposed to 100 for us.
So it's like
Everything's in the atmosphere.
It's flowing through the atmosphere, or flying through it.
Yeah, atmosphere is the soup that we're looking in. Which is interesting. If indeed there were life forms there that had evolved and had their own technologies, then it seems to me that when people see UFOs here on Earth, they would be looking for giant gas bags in the sky, right? That would be from this planet. They would be high exploratory tech from the sirens of Titan checking us out.
Yeah.
And I have seen something like this once, very
You mean
clearly.
like a sci-fi movie? What have
No,
you
really,
seen?
no. I was at the top of the Pinnacles, not too far from here. And early morning, I woke up and I saw a cloud, forming and shaping right in front of us, like you see in the top of mountains. You see clouds forming around you and disappearing as the mist becomes solid. Like we saw that up in Haleakala a couple months ago in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Well, when I looked very closely, it looked like there was a membrane around the cloud as it was forming,
Wow.
a very fluidic membrane. But it was very clearly, I watched it for a long time.
Huh.
Yeah. So it would
Your
be
own
like,
private UFO show.
well, it was like a jelly creature that had a cloud in it, but it was completely transparent.
Wow.
Maybe it
So
was
it
a
was undercover.
spaceship that
It
was
was
trying to
undercover
cloak
spaceship.
itself.
Yeah, studying us from the
Right.
cloud people.
Right.
I don't know, but it was weird, and I was just transfixed by it. I wish I had a camera back then.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
don't even know if it would pick it up. It's so subtle.
Sounds amazing.
It's very advanced tech.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
we've got the Falcon Heavy in the news. What else we got in the news?
Quite a bit today. Today is a really kind of exciting day.
Oh, I
You want to do the
did-
commercials first?
Yeah. Just
Okay.
looked at the time. Let's do that. Let's take a minute and praise the folks in
I
Santa
mean, there was a-
Cruz who love Santa Cruz voice.
Yeah. Did you hear about all the Cybertrucks being recalled? Really weird.
All
I'll
right,
talk
when
about
we
that
get
after
back.
Yeah.
Okay. And some music.
Yeah,
on
the
way out,
the
perhaps.
Cybertrucks. Whew. Yeah, that's it. The flying Cybertrucks.
Handcrafted art, crafts, jewelry, antiques, toys, plus food and so much more. The Holiday Craft and Gift Fair returns just in time for unique shopping this Friday and Saturday, noon until 9 p.m. at the Santa Cruz County Fairgrounds. Your gift fair admission gets you into the Holiday Lights walkthrough each night. The Holiday Craft and Gift Fair this Friday and Saturday at the Fairgrounds. Information and tickets available at fairgrounds-foundation.org.
Get hooked up with affordable cannabis at the locally owned Hook Outlet. The Hook is a friendly neighborhood outlet where everybody above the age of 21 can have access to the best cannabis products for the best prices in the county. Get friendly local service and great prices in person and online at the Hook Outlets in Capitola and Watsonville. Order online at hookoutlet.com and pick up 9 to 9, 7 days a week. Get hooked up at the locally owned Hook Outlet.
Craving something sweet? Indulge your senses at Spontaneous Confections, where every bite is a masterpiece. From our decadent 24-karat brownie to our creamy strawberry cheesecake, we create specialty pastries that impress and delight. Need something unique? We take custom orders to make celebrations unforgettable. We offer dietary options so everyone can enjoy. Check out our website, spontaneousconfections.com, and discover all of our delicious, edible art.
Holiday Lights at the Santa Cruz County Fairgrounds opens Friday, November 29th, and runs every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday evening through December 24th. Bigger and brighter this year with many new features. And join us for the Holiday Lights walkthrough nights on December 6 and 7 during the Holiday Fair. Brighten your holiday season with the magic of Holiday Lights. Get your tickets online and save time and money at fairgrounds-foundation.org. Ho, ho, ho!
Has the holiday bustle got you searching for a peaceful place to work? Look no further than Satellite Santa Cruz, your holiday hideaway. Reserve a desk, office, or conference room. Enjoy free Wi-Fi, parking, coffee, and snacks. Give us a call today at 831-531-2300. Mention Santa Cruz Voice and enjoy a free day pass on us. Your holiday haven awaits.
We should be seeing levels.
Yes. So I wanted to mention, I got a pretty straightforward story. It's the Cybertruck and Wired. Wired basically has been taking on how people have been dissing the Cybertruck quite a bit. That these pickups were not really trucks, and that people who were truck people really weren't buying them for a truck.
The snark squad
they
of
weren't using
media.
them for trucks. They were buying them for status and recognition and such. And the statistics seems to show that when people sell a Cybertruck, and there's now a secondary market for them, that they're not actually being bought by truck people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they're being bought by Tesla fanboys.
People who like to gawk at you, kind of people. So Cybertruck owners have discovered that Cybertruck owners don't really care about the fact that they're being recalled like crazy, that they're worse than 91% of all 2024 vehicles in terms of recalls. And it doesn't matter because that's not what it's about. It's about, I guess, the look and feel of being in a Cybertruck. There's something that kind of attention.
I remember Jaguars used to have that reputation that they spent more time in the shop than with their owners, right?
Yeah. Well, the difference is that a lot of people feel like throwing like eggs and tomatoes at Cybertrucks. It's not like a loved symbol. It's more of a almost reviled in some circles.
Well, that's why it's made of steel. It can handle having somebody shoot at it.
Yeah, well, that's
sort
the
of
other thing.
intending to get that effect.
Yeah, it's the other thing. And so you see one, you said, well, I heard they can take a bullet. Let's see. And so you're kind of a target when you're driving one of those things.
Got to know what to do with the energy.
Yeah.
Got to be pretty in Cybertruck City.
Yeah. An interesting article in Wired about sudden loss of horsepower now. Now here it's supposed to be faster than a Lamborghini in 0 to 60. You hit the accelerator and nothing happens. WTF, right? And it turns out to be a problem that can't be fixed over an over-the-air update. It's because of what's called a duff drive inverter.
So do you have to tow it to the shop, or can you drive it and drop it off?
Probably tow it if it's not going to go anywhere. Yeah, those are little gadgets that convert direct current to alternating current and control the EV's motor speed and torque. And so you're losing control of that. That's not good, right? That's its whole core to being a Cybertruck.
So it can't tow, but it can drive?
Well, nothing. No, you hit the gas and nothing happens.
I see.
Not good. Not good.
That means it's
tow.
not a truck, it's a doorstop.
Yeah, stomping on the accelerator, nothing. Downer, right?
Yeah.
But no. I guess what would be embarrassing would be to see you in the driver's seat of a Cybertruck as it's being towed. That'd be the walk of shame. And it's so funny because mainstream press they don't realize that people aren't paying attention to mainstream media as they used to. In this case, they're finding that the more the legacy media say it's bad, the more customers see it as good.
Oh, sure. The old.
What's that all about?
It's like the boy called wolf effect. We've been lied to so much by the mainstream media that whatever they claim to be true, the audience just goes, another lie.
Well, since 27,000 have been sold, they have had 5 recalls, and some 2,431 Cybertrucks have just been affected by the 6th recall.
About 10%.
Yeah, that's the hit the accelerator, nothing happens.
Mm-hmm.
And that requires actually bringing it to the shop.
Oh, really? The other ones were dial-up
new drive
reset?
inverter. You needed one of the new drive inverters. Well, all kinds of weird things have happened with the cars. It's not always predictable, especially when you're dealing with advanced software like full self-driving mode.
It's the bleeding edge.
Yeah. I mean, suddenly the car will veer off to unknown lands and then die. You know, and what do you do? Or the batteries will say they're empty when they're full. False positives, false negatives. All kinds of things happen with software all the time. And that's part of the challenge of creating a fully autonomous transportation network in this case. As transportation follows in the footsteps of communications, it all becomes packet switching. But actually moving stuff around is another level of complexity.
I think this constant sense that the press likes to complain is changing and somewhat distorting the way that new products are received. New products have to be so perfect in order to not engage the wrath of the press.
They do. Absolutely they need to be, because your life is on the line. You know, it is a life or death thing with this technology. I mean, it's driving us around.
Yeah, who wants to trust an autonomous car if the gas pedal doesn't work?
Or it suddenly did something stupid like drive off of a cliff for no reason.
It had its reasons.
Yeah, a glitch. Oh, sorry about that. We didn't anticipate that particular glitch.
We're testing out the safety system.
Yeah, that's why I don't trust 1.0 software.
Let's see if we can survive this cliff.
I mean, anybody knows early versions of software. How many of you signed up for beta programs with your iOS on your Apple iPhone?
That's right. Got to be brave.
What
you got to be prepared to deal with the sudden slowdown of not knowing what's going on.
But,
well, we've got that covered. Bobby does beta, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for these people, they spent $80,000 and it turns into a cyber brick.
A cyber brick. That's one of its
only until you tow it to the shop and they put in a new fix. They just have to, turn a few screws for you.
Meanwhile, you're a proud owner of a brick. High-tech brick.
But you're the only one on your block.
Yeah. Yeah, that's reviled.
Well, it's reviled again.
Status revilation. Reviling my status. There's some that say that any kind of attention is a form of love, so even reviling can be loving experience for some.
Sure, tell yourself what you want to hear.
I know when we're talking about used values, this has caused them to plummet of course. Price tracking has showed that a used Cybertruck has dropped from $175K to $86,000 in Auto Trader.
Such a deal.
Yeah.
All right, wait a minute. That's still really high, isn't it?
Well, from 175 to 86,000 for a truck. Yeah, I guess it is.
Huh.
But 86,000 for a high end pimped out Ford or Chevy. No, not so bad. 86 is probably normal. But it's high end for 175, that's for sure. One final stat, about 276 of them are on the market if you want to buy one.
Oh, for $86,000?
Mm-hmm.
I think I'll wait.
And Tesla's trying to get the price down. They're trying to get under 80,000.
Really? By making it
one.
worse and worse? Like having more and more recalls? We'll get that price down to $30,000 for you. Just wait.
It's the economy of scale, my dear.
Keep an eye out for recall 11.
Economy of scale. So you want one?
Well, if somebody gave it to me, I'll take it.
Yeah, somebody gave it to you. It's about where my brother Norm is at, right, Norm? Somebody give you one, you'll consider it. Yeah, I like to get a hands-on demo model for journalists to report on it.
Okay, you heard it here, folks.
Yeah.
Got a
We'll test that for you.
Cybertruck, Alan will happily take it for
I'd
a
more like
joyride.
to try out the Cybertruck. That's this next story, which is also in Wired, which is about the latest with Neuralink, the company that is exploring the brain-computer interface.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
That's right. For those who want to eventually upload their brains into their robo-bodies.
Well, sometimes your body is not always the best place to be.
You sound like someone who knows.
Sometimes it's good to have other bodies to visit.
There you go.
Or other places to go while your system is repairing itself,
Yeah, right.
You shouldn't have to stick around if you don't need to.
There you
Come
go.
back when it's ready.
Kind of reminds me of stories like our friend Celestine Starr,
yeah.
who, she's no longer with us, but her stories as a child were that she was somewhat tortured in a situation that she had to escape from, and she escaped by leaving her body. Like literally, she kind of watched from above. And when you're talking about this subject, it's making me think of that somehow our consciousness doesn't actually reside in our bodies. And here we are manufacturing new options for where our consciousness can take root. We're trying anyway.
Yeah. Well, I think we're starting to find that consciousness exists everywhere, that that there's the consciousness of us as humans talking like right now, and the consciousness of cells is also real, and is us also. It's just a different aspect of our awareness and
but
being.
Neuralink is trying to
Higher brain
learn
function.
to send electrical signals to the brain. So it's all about how does the brain talk. How do we talk directly?
Like
with
if you
electricity?
have, like millions do, have prosthetic limbs, and you'd like to have a more functional prosthetic, this is one of the areas that you'll be of great interest, because they'll be testing brain implants that control not just a cursor on a game on your computer, which is the current status, but you'll be able to control with your brain a robotic arm.
Haven't they had some success with that already?
There's been some over the years, but it's been more clunky. And the Neuralink technology is getting more refined and more detailed. They've advanced it. It used to be that you'd have to have a cable that went from your head, from your brain, the equipment, to the robot. Now they're getting it so that you can have control of the robotic arm wirelessly.
Who do you mean you? You mean the person who's undergone the surgery to have their Neuralink planted in their head?
Yes, you have your brain implants.
They can suddenly use telepathy to control their arm?
Well, wireless. We have wireless technology. It's
Seems like it's a roundabout way to get there.
We'd like to use nature's wireless tech, but we're not quite there yet. Mm-hmm. We've created our own. Mm-hmm. Just your thoughts, though. From your point of view, as a person controlling the robot, it's just your thoughts. There's a new feasibility study that's open. Musk just announced it on X, that you can help them further explore how to control a robot arm with just your mind. It's called the BCI, brain-computer interface. And it's not that vague, the Neuralink, the brain implant itself, is a coin-sized device. It's actually implanted in your brain by a robot. So
Well, it has to be. I
untouched by human
remember
hands.
some of the diagrams that I've seen are these very tiny little hairs that are the Neuralink interface that extend into the brain, and they have to be positioned in such a way that they don't touch or damage the neural fibers that are already there. They have to be in proximity to be able to send and receive signals, but not harm the infrastructure, not harm the living tissue.
Yeah, they're small enough, like little hairs. There's like a dozen hairs that go into your brain, but they have to be brittle enough to be able to poke through brain tissue. And that is one of the problems, is that the installation of the implant, as it's putting its a dozen little probes into you, little like little hairs going into your brain reacts by squiggling and trying to get them out.
Even your brain cells don't want a robot.
That is not me.
Not human.
But we're very clever people, and we realize how the brain tries to reject our technology. So I think that they figured out a way to keep the hairs in the brain.
Well, they keep trying.
Yeah, I think, you know what they probably did? They probably put little barbs on them so that they try to back out, they stay in. Something like that. I bet you. Anyway, they don't go into that kind of detail in this piece on Wired. They just look more like the implications of it all. That it gives you more degrees of freedom and allows you to have some agency in this world. If you don't know, if you can't move things around,
that they've been able to succeed in having people who have dysfunctional limbs be able to control their limbs with their thoughts. I think that is truly amazing.
And we do that all the time. We don't even think about it, but it's an amazing process to try to get a robot to do what our hands do so automatically. It's complicated, and to be able to achieve that level of control is amazing.
Eventually, we're going to realize that we are robots, and we're already doing that, and we're now inventing new machines to emulate our current robot with some new features.
Yeah, well, that was one of the insights, Mrs. Future, the idea that it's biomimicry, that we're copying what already is in existence, and that we're doing it at a much higher level, that our biology is actually very advanced technology. And it's had millions and millions of years to evolve.
Right.
And we get to operate on top of that. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
So these robotic arms will allow people with paralysis to carry about simple tasks without assistance. That's the feel-good control element of it that we all want to do. And, of course, other groups of people are going to look at how people can remotely control robots in the battlefield. One of the things they're developing now for the Teslas, which they didn't really talk about that much, but Waymo uses already, are remote drivers that can take over the autonomous programs when they reach difficult choke points in the system, like the construction areas and stuff where there's a lot of unknown factors. So the robotic cars will have not just fully autonomy, but they'll also have a mode where humans remotely can take over should their human intelligence need to intercede.
Oh, interesting. So that instead of having a driver that is assisted by cruise control, say, you'll have a fully autonomous car that will call a remote driver and say, would you mind driving, please?
Yeah, or at least help. It will help make some decisions, because the companies all have these maps of the town. Los Angeles now has been added as a fully autonomous map for Waymo, for example. And they'll have all the construction zone marked, and the humans will put their attention to the issues as they approach these complex, congestive areas. Pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a combination of human-machine intelligence that will really help evolve the machines, and then also our relationship with the machines.
You get so excited about that.
Yeah, a little bit.
Now, weren't we listening to some kind of a clubhouse meeting with the engineers that were working with the AI that were designing the autonomous algorithms for these driving vehicles?
Yeah, we were at one of them. Yeah, they were interesting. There's some ideas that the cars, once they're freed from having to think the way monkeys think, which is the road systems we have today, that intersections would be where the traffic will flow continuously in all four directions at an intersection, where you see cars. But they're timed so that they avoid each other. They don't hit each other. The space in between them is such that they're always safe.
It's more like a packet switching problem, where
It's my
you're
data,
sending
switching data
packets and you
from-
just make sure that you avoid collisions, and who's ever going the fastest gets to go next, and whoever's going to fit right in the slot gets to go next. And,
packetizing molecules from data to molecules. Exactly. And also the other idea that was being explored were insect swarms. That's particularly useful for autonomous vehicles of the air because they can travel like the sparrows and such, and beautiful swarms, and move around in migration paths that are natural to the planet, that millions of species are using all the time, and that we can join in on that on the migration route. But plug into it on a planetary scale, not just our communications, our transportation.
So you're now going from autonomous cars to autonomous flying vehicles going around the globe in flocks?
Well, that's because of the swarm concept. I'm sure some people have tried to apply the swarm mentality to the ground for cars as well, but I'm not
People,
that
when
I'm
they
aware
think of swarms, they think of locusts. They think of
flying
clouds of
machines.
flying
Flying
things.
machines, yeah, exactly. Or swarms of sparrows. Insects come to mind.
Yeah.
Ants.
Ants, swarms of ants. That's true. Ants swarm, don't they?
They do.
Right.
They do. So we'll probably utilize ant intelligence somewhere in the equation at some point
I know
for the
you
ground
will,
devices.
for sure.
Well, I know NASA will. If I don't, NASA will. I mean, they're, when they start discovering life on other planets, they'll start looking at these sorts of things, because I do believe the principles of nature are universal, and that we'll find these in amazing ways in other places. That's when it gets really interesting. And then we become less species-centric in our thinking and more see the bigger picture. I'm looking forward to that day.
What are you looking forward to in the next hour, since we're
Well,
about
the next
to go to our little
20
break?
second, I'm looking forward to hearing about all the sponsors that love our show.
And some news, some local Santa Cruz
Yeah,
news.
and exciting news. Maybe we'll find out something new.
All right, everyone ready for this? This deep dive is going to blow your mind. We're talking about not you, but like the cells that make you. Eukaryotic cells.
That's right.
They make up like every plant and animal and fungi.
And you and me, everything on Earth, pretty much.
We're going to go on a wild ride today, starting way back.
Like way, way back.
Back to the primordial soup.
And who knows, maybe even peek into the future.
Yeah, like what's next? Beyond humans even.
It's a wild ride, but we're going to break it down, figure out why eukaryotes even exist.
Why'd evolution go that way? What makes them so special?
And how'd they lead to us? To everything we see around us. Big questions.
Huge. Okay, so picture this. Earth, 3 billion years ago.
We're not exactly a tropical paradise.
No, definitely not. Just single-celled organisms everywhere, like bacteria and archaea.
The OG life forms just hanging out.
They were pretty basic, though, right?
Oh, yeah. Super simple. Like, imagine, that junk drawer everyone has?
Oh, totally. Full of random stuff.
That's kind of what prokaryotic cells were like. Everything jumbled together. No real organization.
Okay, I get it. So if eukaryotic cells are like super organized.
Have a perfectly labeled filing cabinet.
And prokaryotes are.
The pile of papers on the floor?
Uh-huh. Makes sense. So they were alive, they were doing their thing.
Surviving, reproducing.
But not super advanced.
Exactly. But then, boom.
Eukaryotes show up.
Eukaryotes show up. And it's a game changer.
Total revolution.
They're the first cells with, like, internal organs.
Organelles. I remember learning about those.
Yeah, organelles, like the nucleus. Protects the cell's DNA.
Keeps it safe.
Exactly. And then, of course, you got the mitochondria.
The powerhouse of the cell. I remember that from biology class.
Of course you do. Everyone remembers the mitochondria. That's where energy gets made.
And those organelles, they made a huge difference, right?
Night and day. Like going from a flip phone to a smartphone. Suddenly, cells could do way more.
Be more complex.
Get bigger. Be more efficient.
And this is important because
every single multicellular organism today is made of eukaryotic cells. Every plant, every animal, every fungus.
So, Mio, that tree outside, all eukaryotes.
All eukaryotes. We owe it all to those little guys.
Wow. Okay, but how did they even happen? How do you go from a junk drawer cell to a filing cabinet cell? Seems like a pretty big jump.
It is a big jump, and that's where the endosymbiotic theory comes in.
Okay, I've heard of that. Something about one cell swallowing another.
Pretty much. The idea is a bacterial cell got swallowed up by an archaean cell.
Sounds kind of hostile.
It does, but instead of being digested, this bacteria, it stuck around, became a permanent resident.
A roommate?
Yeah, like a roommate. And eventually, over a very long time, it evolved into the mitochondrion.
No way. So the powerhouse of the cell was once
an independent bacterium. Wild, right.
Mind-blowing. So one cell basically just ate another and was like, hey, you're pretty good at this energy thing. Want to team up?
Exactly. And that partnership, it's called endosymbiosis, it was so beneficial.
That it probably happened more than once.
You got it. Could have happened with other bacteria too, leading to all sorts of organelles.
Wow. So these chance encounters, billions of years ago,
shaped everything. Shaped the entire trajectory of life on Earth.
Okay, that's incredible. But wait, hold on a sec. Wouldn't swallowing another cell take tons of energy?
Good question.
And wasn't that the whole point of developing mitochondria in the first place?
You're hitting on a big mystery. Like, how'd the host cell get the energy to swallow another cell before it had mitochondria? A real chicken and egg situation.
Right, it's a paradox. So what's the answer?
Well, one idea is that ancient archaea used these things called blebs.
Blebs, what are those?
Okay, picture this. Tiny little arm-like things reaching out from the archaean cell.
Like little tentacles?
Kind of. And they'd grab food particles and pull them back into the cell.
Interesting.
So maybe these blebs, they allowed archaea to get enough energy to engulf other cells even before mitochondria came along.
So blebs were like the prehistoric version of
cellular food delivery.
Uh-huh. That's amazing. Evolution is so clever.
Right. It finds a way. And this brings us to a group of organisms that scientists are really excited about right now. The Asgard archaea.
Asgard archaea. Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Well, you ready for this? They're our closest living prokaryotic relatives, and they were discovered in some seriously extreme environments.
Like where?
Like deep sea vents. Talk about hardcore.
Whoa.
But here's the crazy part. They have genes and features that look surprisingly eukaryotic.
Wait, seriously? So these like primitive archaea have traits of complex cells like ours?
Yep. It's like finding a Model T with a hint of a Ferrari engine under the hood.
That's wild. So are these Asgard archaea like a missing link or something?
That's what everyone wants to know. Studying them is like looking back in time, getting a glimpse of what the ancestors of eukaryotes might have been like.
Fascinating. So are we saying that Asgards are like a prototype eukaryote?
It's a possibility. Maybe they started down the path to complexity, but just didn't quite make it all the way.
So like failed eukaryotes.
Maybe. Or maybe they just represent a different branch of life that took its own path.
This is where I get totally hooked. Like we're actually peering into the distant past, seeing how complex life began. It's amazing. But before we get lost in ancient history, let's fast forward a bit. How did eukaryotes go from single cells to, well, everything we see today? I mean, mushrooms, trees, us. That's a big leap.
A monumental leap. And to understand that, we got to talk about another big event. Chloroplasts.
Okay, chloroplasts. Those are the things that let plants use sunlight. Right. Photosynthesis.
Exactly. And it's another chapter in the story of endosymbiosis, another amazing partnership.
So another eukaryotic cell swallowed something else.
This time, a cyanobacterium.
Say what?
They're these tiny bacteria that can perform photosynthesis.
Whoa. And the eukaryotic cell was like, hey, you're good at the sunlight thing. Want to join forces?
Exactly. And that's how plants got their start.
Incredible. It's like a cellular merger that changed the world. But how did we go from that single event to all the plants we see today? From tiny algae to giant redwood trees.
Well, that's where things get even more astounding.
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat.
Imagine those early eukaryotes. Now, with the power of the sun, they start multiplying like crazy.
Spreading across the planet.
Evolving into countless forms. And the rest, as they say,
is history.
Welcome back to The Likes of Us. We got a few more stories to share with you. We also got some feedback from our beloved audience. Richard points out that Titan is the only body in the solar system other than the Earth that has liquid flowing on its surface. And this causes a very Earth-like topography. Well, we do. We have mostly ocean water here, right? So that's the mostly ocean planet. Mm-hmm. Not water, though, there, but liquid methane.
Right, methane. Carbon plus hydrogen.
So for 10 points, Richard, what would happen if you lit a match on Titan? Anything?
Well, there's very little oxygen.
Oh, you're
It's
so smart. This is
95% nitrogen.
You're so far. But how much oxygen do you need to have ignition?
Well,
Mm-hmm.
whatever oxygen is there will get used, but it's not very
Not much?
Well,
Not much?
for instance, I think on our atmosphere
Yeah.
it's around 20%.
Okay.
That's right. Yeah. 20%.
Well, maybe a different kind of fire. Maybe it would be like an electrical fire or gas fire.
Well,
I think you need oxygen to burn. Yeah.
Always, right? Nothing burns without oxygen. So how much oxygen is on Titan?
why don't you ask co-pilot?
I think it's probably
Or
already
ask Bobby.
used up.
Huh?
What, Bobby?
It's probably already been used up, whatever oxygen was there. Yeah. They
So,
already had their fires. Yeah.
Titan's fires are over.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's one of our mysteries. How much oxygen is on Titan? Not immediately apparent.
Yeah, that's an obscure question.
Yeah.
Well, nevertheless, thank you for that comment.
Yeah. Got me thinking.
Right.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about.
You were kind of excited about this biomimicry project.
Yes.
Where the engineers had built a raptor-inspired drone.
I thought that was a great engineering design. It's really beautiful what they did.
It looks like a bird, doesn't it?
It does.
It's a raptor bird, feathered drone. And what's special about it?
I'm still looking for the article, so why don't you just get us in there?
Okay, what's special about it? Asked Dr. Future. Well, says Mrs. Future, there's a pair of engineers at the École Polytechnique in Switzerland that tested a feather hawk-inspired drone that could do banking maneuvers without using its wings.
Whose voice is this?
Banking maneuvers.
Is this Dr. Future's new voice?
That's my new AI.
All right.
It's an amusing one.
So this raptor-inspired feathered drone
Yeah.
is a bird that has been designed, and it's made of plastic, but it has made feathers out of plastic. They're
Plastic feathers.
yeah.
Okay.
So they are using materials that they have complete control over, but then they're putting them together so that they can operate a flying device in the way that a bird operates its body. So they're very beautiful.
So one of the things you like about it is the design. It just looks like a really nice bird.
Right. And I also liked the way that they're using the design to test ways to move.
Wow.
So the big accomplishment here is that they can keep the wings stationary in a soaring position and just tilt the tail so that it banks, so that the bird can turn very elegantly. And so the way that the tail is rotating is affecting the air and the lift.
Uh-huh.
And the way that they've studied it is very much the way that, say, the Wright brothers were studying how to build a bike.
Well, remember that? Yeah, we visited the Wright brothers' original bicycle shop, which was recreated in Dayton, Ohio, a couple of years ago, and it was fascinating to see that the way that they turned the first airplane was called wing warping.
Mm-hmm.
Wing warping, where you would literally pull strings to warp the cloth wings, the double wings of the craft, left to right, to turn. Now here they're warping the tail.
Right.
Right? That's to be able to make the turn.
Right. And so they can spread the feathers out and they can make it wider and narrower. And then they can also rotate it from a center axis. So it's it can change the direction around the rotation. So it can go from horizontal to vertical. And that rotation is used to turn the entire bird. So it's just very elegant. I would love to have something like this to play with, for instance, a remote control bird flying with these bird principles. So anyway,
yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, it really it reminds me of a really weird conspiracy theory I once heard.
It does?
Yeah.
What?
That that there are no real birds. That most of the birds out there are mechanical ones.
Oh,
And
brother.
they're faking us out.
Uh-huh.
You heard of that story? You never heard of,
Sounds
you
like
haven't heard of
something
that?
any
Yeah, it's a very
5-year-old
famous-
could make up.
Well, it actually became quite an internet meme.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. What was it? No, the birds are fake or something. I'll have to search the net for that.
Sure.
But I remember
Okay.
that. That was
Flat Earthers
how
decide
could
birds
anyone-
are fake.
How can you create an argument where people would believe that? That's what fascinated me.
Yeah, well.
And they did come up with a fairly plausible thing, which I can't exactly remember. But how because there's so many bodies of birds that you can tell, obviously, that they're real organisms. So.
I've seen plenty of real birds.
Have you? Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
I've rescued a few in my day.
Yeah. Why are there only fake birds? Let's see. There are only fake birds.
Why are you fascinated with silly ideas like that?
Yeah. I don't know. Because people would actually believe it. That's what fascinates me.
You're one of
about
them.
it. Well, if somebody could convince me that all birds were fake, I would be impressed.
with their
I would be
powers of
impressed.
persuasion.
The ability, power of persuasion. Yeah, I could. It's like, whoa! How did he do that? Yeah. So, it would take a lot for you, Bobby, to believe that, right?
It would, because yeah, I grew up. When I was a kid, we had a farm that had prune orchards, and these starlings would move en masse, and it looked as though one mind was moving this cloud of starlings. There would be tens of thousands of them in groups. They're small birds, and they move. You know how fishes move in the ocean in groups, and they just all of a sudden they all move all at once. Well, these starlings would do the same thing in the air.
Yeah, they call
And
that
so-
a murmur of birds, right? When they do
Yeah.
that, that's a murmur. I think they even
That's
call
pretty
it something
impressive.
like
Yeah, I love
murmurizing
that.
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard for me to believe that
It's fake.
they're
Well, here it is. I found
fake.
it. Wikipedia has an article. You see, it's not just Uncle Al here.
You didn't just make
No,
it up just
no.
now?
Here it is. Look, birds aren't real as a satirical conspiracy theory which posits that birds are actually drones operated by the United States government to spy on American citizens.
Oh, all birds, not just one bird.
No, that's actually, yes, birds.
But it is
Journalist Rachel
satirical.
Roberts described birds aren't real as a joke that thousands of people are in on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Peter McIndoe created this satirical conspiracy theory on a whim in January of 2017.
Mm-hmm.
After seeing pro-Trump counter-protesters at the 2017 Women's March in Memphis, Tennessee, McIndoe wrote "Birds Aren't Real" on a poster and improvised a conspiracy theory amongst the counter-protesters as a spontaneous joke. And then they had a video of him apparently at that march went viral, and it started the movement.
Okay, well, I like that. I'm all in favor of good
People are
comedy
sticking it up.
satire.
Yeah. It claims that all birds in the U.S. were exterminated by the federal government between 1959 and 1971 and replaced by look-alike drones used by the government to spy on citizens.
Mm.
And, of course, they didn't get too much on the specifics of these theories, which is like a lot of conspiracy theories.
Mm-hmm.
They claim that the birds sit on power lines to recharge themselves.
Makes sense.
Very practical.
And that birds defecate on cars as a tracking method. And that U.S. President Kennedy was assassinated by the government because of his reluctance to kill all the birds. So there you go. Birds
Must
aren't
be
real.
true.
Birds aren't real. And apparently there's hundreds of thousands of members of this event, of this conspiracy.
Well, first I've heard.
Yeah, Vice investigated. They did a piece on
They
it.
did.
So did 60 Minutes. They got in on it in 22.
Okay. So the whistleblowers have disclosed that it was fake.
Well, yeah, they did. And they say that its purpose behind creating a satirical movement, well, it's taking this concept of misinformation and almost building a little safe space to come together within it and laugh at it rather than be scared by it. And to accept the lunacy of it all and be a bird truther for a moment in time when everything's so crazy.
Works for
And
me.
that's the lesson of the Birds aren't real conspiracy.
Okay, well, from now on, I'm a true believer.
Hey, should we test out? We have a text line, 831-338-7228, 831-338-7228. It might even be able to take a phone call.
Yeah, give us a try.
Yeah, if you feel inclined to add to this inspired conversation, please join us. Now let's switch gears to something maybe Bobby can help contribute on with this. And it's something that also I liked personally, was that something called cocoa is actually good for you.
Something called cocoa.
Yeah.
That weird
And
anomaly
weird that I like.
substance.
It's not
cocoa.
just bad, it's not just fat, but it's good for you. And that cocoa.
Anybody can tell you that.
and green
I could have told
tea.
you that.
Yeah,
Green tea.
well, yeah, and green tea.
Yeah.
And that can protect you from the negative effects of fatty foods during mental stress.
So, if you drink cocoa, you're safe from fat? Is that what it says?
Oh, it means that if you're about to deal with some mental stress, like you need to talk to somebody you don't want to talk to, or have to defend yourself in some strange way or whatever, that drink some cocoa. That'll help protect your vasculature
Let's just
against
calm
stress.
down the situation here. Would you like some hot chocolate? Some cocoa?
And it'll even work after you eat some high-fat food. What does that mean? It means, I guess, if you just came out like the president, you just had your quarter pounder, to drink some cocoa.
Protect yourself from your quarter pounder with a hot chocolate.
Food choices made during periods of stress can influence the effect of stress on your cardiovascular health.
Okay, just any kind of cocoa? It seems like the sugar would be a problem.
Well, yeah, we'll get into the details here. There was a University of Birmingham study, and they found that high-fat foods can negatively affect vascular function and oxygen delivery to the brain.
Oh, I see.
High-fat foods can negatively.
Okay.
Okay. But flavanol compounds found in abundance in cocoa and green tea, the flavanol compounds, it's the key here, can protect a vascular function during periods of everyday stress.
Okay.
So they found that drinking cocoa high in flavanols in combination with a fatty meal can counteract some of the impact of fatty food and protect your vascular system from the stress.
So how do you know if your cocoa is high in flavanols?
Well, I guess you buy certain brands that are known for flavanols.
Check the label?
Yeah, apparently some,
What do you know? Do you know? This is up your alley, isn't it, Bobby?
Chocolate.
Huh?
It's the dark chocolate.
Oh,
that
dark
has
chocolate
high-
is high in flavanols.
Flavanols have health benefits.
Thank you.
Blood
and,
pressure.
And the flavanol, like in green tea, if it's a brilliant green, it has more flavanols in it also.
Okay.
So
I think they're also in fruits and vegetables as well, a little bit. Yeah,
But,
berries.
What's important is how much butter is in. What's important to actually stave off your appetite is if you just take a little stick of butter or put it on something, it actually satiates your stomach to feeling that it's full. And when they say fatty foods, I think, well, in some cases, what causes the fat is not the butter or the fat, but actually the carbohydrates that are in the sugars and the things that are sweet. That's what causes actually buildup of fat in the body.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was wondering about that. So do you have to have just chocolate powder with no sweetness to get the health effect?
Well, these keto and bulletproof coffee, they're all based on, you just take, or you can take a bulletproof matcha too. You can take green tea, and all you do is add butter, and all of a sudden, your appetite is satiated, and you eat less of these carbohydrates that are going to put on fat on you. And
okay, so you can have cocoa with butter.
Yes.
And you don't need to add any sugar.
That's right. Yeah. And actually, if you get grass-fed butter, then you get this what's called C15, this fatty 15, and it actually is a 15 carbon chain fatty acid, and it's essential for the body, and it's essential for all your cells. And so that's why, if let's say you're vegan and you don't ingest any butter in your diet, you can lack this essential amino acid, this carbon 15. And so that's why, in India, in southern India, where they're vegetarian, but one of the essential things in their diet is ghee, which is derived from clarified butter. So that balances their nutrition, and they get their carbon 15 through this ghee in their diet. So
and at the risk of being a little distracting here, could you talk a little bit about the C15 and its properties, because this seems to be something you've recently discovered and that is not that well known in terms of both what benefits it can have and what sources of food can give it to you?
Yeah. Well, it turns out that, grass-fed sheep and cows, they can produce cheeses and butter.
That have what, like an extra enzyme or something? Is this C15 an enzyme? Or is it a protein?
Yes.
It's a protein.
Well, it's actually a carbon chain. So it's an essential amino acid, like omega-3 fish oil. It's carbon 3 fatty acid. But if you add more carbons to it, and you have C15 as a carbon, then what it does is all your cells in your body, on the surface, on the membrane, there is a spot for C15. And if you're vegan and your skin, your cells are void of this essential amino acid that kind of strengthens the surface of the cell. So it's important to get it somehow into your diet, but mostly it comes from grazing animals. And so if you're vegan, you don't eat any dairy, right? And so you might be void of this. But there's another way to get it. What they do is they figured out that you can take coconut oil, and then you add, which is C14, and then they add one more carbon chain to it, and it becomes C15. And so you can have a vegan-friendly way of accessing that.
That's interesting. So how do you go from coconut oil to the C15 form?
How do you,
Do you cook it?
it's a
Do
chemical.
you add an ingredient?
Yeah, they just add carbon to it, and it's patented by the U.S. Navy.
So you just mix it with charcoal?
Well, I think they have a patented process, and you can just buy it from this company called Fatty 15 on the internet.
Okay. All right,
And
great.
you can
Well,
supplement it that way.
Thank you.
But
I always like getting your depth of knowledge on things like that.
It goes deep.
Yeah.
It won't stop there.
Yeah.
It goes really deep.
So,
However,
but anyway.
All right.
the main what's the takeaway for our audience here?
Right. Is that cocoa is good for you, green tea is good for you,
And
it
butter.
protects you, and butter. Right.
And butter is good for you.
Right.
But it has to be grass-fed butter. Yes.
During mental stress, these things can be good for you.
Yes, and birds are real.
And birds are real.
That's amazing.
All right. Let's take a little break, huh?
All right.
You ready?
Okay.
All right. Santa Cruz voice. Here we go. Be right back. How about some music?
Be right back.
Hi, folks. I came across a man who found a genie lamp. He rubbed it, and the genie appeared and granted him wishes. The man thought for some time, knowing how important this was to his future. His wish? Yes, a Knox roof, installed as always with quality materials and superior workmanship. I said, you don't have to find a genie to achieve these things. Call Knox Roofing today at 461-0634. 461-0634. Okay, thanks, folks.
Experience the extraordinary. Travel with Shen Yun to discover 5,000 years of wisdom, beauty, drama, and humor live on stage. You're not just watching a performance. You are witnessing a culture reborn. Come see what the modern world has never seen. The beauty and wonder of China before communism. Coming to San Francisco, San Jose, and Berkeley, starting on December 26th. Shenyun.com/CA. SHENYUN.com/CA.
Bring an extra helping of happiness to your holiday season with the fresh and fragrant Lions Club Christmas tree. When you light up the tree, your family will smile all the way to January. So bring the happiness. Pick up your tree from 10 to 7 at the Lions Club lot, Portuguese Hall near Costco. All proceeds go to help those in need in Santa Cruz. So bring the happiness. Don't delay. Trees are first come, first serve.
Has the holiday bustle got you searching for a peaceful place to work? Look no further than Satellite Santa Cruz, your holiday hideaway. Reserve a desk, office, or conference room. Enjoy free Wi-Fi, parking, coffee, and snacks. Give us a call today at 831-531-2300. Mention Santa Cruz Voice and enjoy a free day pass on us. Your holiday haven awaits.
When you need help managing the legal affairs of your family, call on the Angel.
Hello, I am attorney Angel Hess, and I am ready to help. Whether you need a prenuptial agreement or divorce settlement, need child or spousal support, or are facing custody issues or visitation rights, I will help you. I have more than 7 years' experience as a family law attorney.
When you need help, call on the Angel. Attorney Angel L. Hess at santacruzlegal.net.
Cannabis is one of nature's most beneficial plants. Hello, I'm Jenna. Treehouse Dispensary, we use information about cannabis to build community. Listen to Xavier.
Thank you, Jenna. For those suffering joint pain, Treehouse suggests trying a CBD THC topical like the Balance Salve from local Santa Cruz company, Jade Nectar. Then enjoy the relief.
For answers to your cannabis questions, ask your friends at Treehouse Dispensary, 3651 Soquel Drive in Soquel, or ourtreehouse.io.
Welcome back to Future Now with Al Lundell. This is Future, a.k.a. Son Lundell, and Bobby Wilder in San Francisco. Welcome back to the show, everybody.
Glad to be here.
All right. Number of stories to cover in our final segment here. One of them is a SpaceX story about how the cellular Starlink service is now ready to go.
Cellular Starlink.
Yeah.
So that means that the satellites can call your phones?
That means your phone can directly use the satellites to text.
Oh,
right? It's a very simple system. There's only 320 Starlink direct-to-cell satellites into space, and they're going to be sending up thousands, but right now 320 is what it takes to cover the entire globe for texting. So we'll be able to text in anywhere in the world just by satellites, not having to go through any local cellular service, which is pretty cool. It's already been utilized in the North Carolina hurricane disaster and the Florida disasters. Hurricane disasters are natural for this. SpaceX has made them available to people in the emergency areas, and it's been a lifesaver. Yeah. It enables internet connectivity for texting with no extra equipment or special apps. It just works, which is pretty cool. So right now, it's free SMS texting for hurricane victims. And 27,000 phones in hurricane-ravaged areas, 250,000 texts already in the first days of service. And it can do a rate when it's really functional at 17 megabits per second, which is enough to support like FaceTime calls, full video phone calls, when it's fully deployed. So it'll go from text to full video, FaceTime interactive video calls.
Do you think there's much latency?
Not as much, no, because it's only in low Earth orbit, right? These are low Earth orbit satellites, not high Earth orbit. And they're partnering with T-Mobile to offer this technology to consumers. And you'll be able to, if you have T-Mobile, you'll probably be able to sign up soon for this. You'll be able to travel anywhere in the world and have access.
So right now it's texting only, but eventually it'll have more.
No, not eventually, probably
features.
next year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're at 320 satellites minimum and 17 megabits per second download to your phone. Yeah, it's amazing. Huh? It's a beta program right now with T-Mobile. You can sign up for it soon.
So do you have to have a special phone?
No, I think just one of the later phones.
Okay.
The last couple of years, they're.
Well, I could tell you a little bit about that.
Okay, tell me a little bit about that, will you?
Well, it turns out that T-Mobile a few years ago bought up Sprint, and Sprint had the right frequency, and it was at 1.9 gigahertz, and that actually turns out to be band 25 on your phone, and so T-Mobile had rights to that phone, and they talked to Elon Musk, and they got in the satellites. They actually got some of these antennas that are emitting at 1.9 gigahertz.
Oh.
And so I noticed a couple months ago in the summer, I was in the Trinity Alps here in California, Northern California, and there was no cell service. But Katya's phone said that, you could get Starlink.
Yeah, that's cool.
You could text Starlink in the middle of nowhere,
Wow. Oh.
And so that's popping up. So you could be anywhere on the planet now, and in an emergency, you can text, especially, and even if you have an older Sprint phone, you could probably do it too, because all the Sprint phones had that.
Well, okay. Well, okay, the Sprint phones did, but what about the recent iPhones and Androids?
Yes, they have all the bands. So all the new iPhones and all the new Android phones, they have all the bands open, and so yes.
How new do you think?
Well, at least I know the ones that have eSIMs that
The
I
eSIMs
have.
for the last couple of years at least.
Yeah, the last couple of years, they have all the bands because the eSIM.
And it's the 25 band. If you want to look for the band, to see if your unit has an antenna for that band.
Yeah.
Band 25.
Yeah, if your phone, if your older phone has band 25, then
okay,
then you're all set.
We're good if we have that, eh? All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Okay, so that's going to continue to evolve, but right now, global coverage, text only. It looks like T-Mobile will be the first coverage for that. The first carrier to help support that in your system. Though it's ironic that you don't need ultimately any local cellular service. You just be able to access it globally. So maybe Elon will buy T-Mobile at some point. We'll see.
Yeah, he could.
Yeah, he could. Right, he could. He could make it one service.
Yeah.
Man. Okay. Well, let's see. Yeah. Okay, let's do that. Meanwhile, I'm getting from our buddy Taylor has been pointing out there's a big sale on Mac Mini M4 Pros. And
yes,
yeah.
At Costco, you get $100 off. So it's $4.99, and the sale goes on till the 2nd of December. But occasionally they sell out. So what you have to do is, if you see it, you have to go online. You can't get it in the store. You have to go online.
Yeah.
And you're allowed to buy 2 of these Mac Minis for $4.99. And it's probably the most powerful computer you can buy on the planet for $500.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I'm experiencing since I spent thousands just a year ago for a machine just marginally faster.
Yeah. Your machine is still a little bit faster, but if you're starting out, it's the perfect machine for 90% of people out there.
Yeah. I agree. It's like, it's amazing supercomputer for the bucks. And it's at Costco, of course.
Yeah. Or you can get it at Amazon. They had a $50 or $60 off, but then they removed that recently. So the best price right now is still at Costco.
That's the M4 Mac Mini, and I guess the choices are whether or not you get the regular M4 chip or you get the Pro chip.
Yeah, the Pro is going to be $1,269, and that's a great deal too.
Yeah,
but the Pro chip is in some cases twice as fast.
That's one if you're a serious avid vlogger.
If you're doing video editing, it's perfect for video editing.
And Taylor does point out it's not Amazon, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's gone.
It's gone on Amazon.
That sale was on for a few days, and then it kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
But there might be another sale for Black Friday. But anyway, you have until next Monday to get it from Costco. They might sell out, so you might have to do it soon.
Yeah. It seems like if you're in a market for a machine, that's the one. Pretty cool.
It's truly, this is the Best Buy of the century for a computer. Seriously.
Yeah, I almost tempted myself. Oh man. Well, so if you're shopping for a new computer, or you're getting one for your kid, this is the most bang for your buck deal you can make.
Yeah, and it's probably the safest computer.
The Mac Mini.
Yeah, because you don't want to. You have, because of malware and viruses on the PC side, which I've been dealing with for 40 years.
Yeah, right. We all have. Yeah.
I just since I tried a Mac in the last couple of years with an M1 for the first time.
Yeah,
it's like I'm not going back to
converted. Yeah, me too. I like having all my communication and networks I communicate with on one computer. Kind of nice.
Yeah.
Okay, to cover a couple more. Taylor points out that he talked to Costco this morning, and the $500 deal just got renewed for another week. Well, it should be. I mean, it's not even Black Friday yet.
Oh, they're going to extend
another week, so maybe a week after Black Friday. Yeah.
That would be great.
Yeah. All they have to do is have inventory. Then we're good.
Or if you have students, if you have children that are students, they can get the $100 off also.
Yeah.
If they order from Apple directly.
Yeah. He's saying that Costco will have the warehouses will have them by Friday.
Oh, really?
I guess that's the Black Friday.
They got another shipment then.
Because they ran out yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's move on. A couple more stories I want to get in before we're down today.
Robots.
And robots for sure. Yeah, I really like that one robot story. But not past Monday, December 2nd is the final word on the M4.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's up until the 2nd, which is next Monday. Yeah.
Right. Okay, a couple more stories. We've heard about how robotics are becoming more and more common. Well, there's some stats now I just want to pass on to you a little bit that have come in about robotics in the workforce. The highest country to have robot workforce is now South Korea, with just a little more than 10% of their workforce replaced with robots, according to World Robotics 2024 survey. And his report by the International Federation of Robotics found that robotics continue to climb a trend globally, and that South Korea is leading that trend with 1,012 robots per 10,000 employees, 1 out of 10. The country has increased its use of robots by 5% each year since 2018, constantly going up. And so Singapore came in second with 770 per 10,000 employees. And China, 470. Boy, Singapore is way beyond China. 470 per 10,000.
And this number is per 10,000 employed workers.
Yeah, per 10,000. 470 per 10,000 for
470 robots for 10,000 paid workers.
Yeah. Yeah. Germany came in fourth with 429, and Japan 419, running neck and neck.
Mm-hmm.
Just our enemies a generation ago, and now they're major robotic forces. We are number 10. The United States is number 10 with 295 per 10,000.
Okay. Well, I'm sure our workers appreciate that they haven't been totally replaced by robots yet.
Not yet. Not yet.
Less than 0.2%.
Mm-hmm. And we're ahead of the European Union, which is 219. Mm-hmm. Remember, we're 295 per 10,000.
Okay.
219 is And in their leaders in the Euro world are Germany, Sweden, Denmark, and Slovenia.
Those are the European robot communities, huh?
Yeah. Now, if you consider robot density for all of North America, I guess that's Canada and Mexico, we're talking 197 per 10,000.
Okay. See, the robots, they're coming, people.
And overall Asian robot
give
density...
them your jobs. You don't want them anyway.
...is 182.
Just figure out how you can give them your jobs but keep your paycheck.
Yeah. Take my job, but give me my money.
Well, right now, I think it costs to own a robot is probably about $20 an hour. So in some cases, it's cheaper to hire workers. But then the robots can work in a dark room 24/7 without insurance, health insurance, or anything.
Yeah.
And
they replace...
Eventually, they'll get down to less than $1 an hour. They might be 10 cents an hour.
Yeah.
And so
maybe eventually they'll replace our slave labor in the prison system.
Yes. And what we'll have is there'll be an abundance of things. I mean, it's not that you shouldn't worry about losing our jobs. It's like there has to be universal basic income that has to come out of this, I mean,
I think there's going to be something. The conversation has to include what actually is necessary for humans to live fulfilling lives where they're reaching their full potential. I know in the Netherlands, they had a program that was an anti-poverty program where they would support artists to have a small portion of their income, say about a third, so that they could find themselves housing. And then they could support themselves on otherwise a menial kind of creative existence because their housing was taken care of. So maybe there's room for thinking about things in this way. But as Elon says, if we just, tell people your needs are taken care of, how do we then take care of getting the work done that essentially needs to be done in society? It's not all going to be robotized. We do have to factor in the motivation of people to make things happen.
I think if humans are freed up to do other things, we will. We'll always figure something new to do to make things better. It's just our nature.
Right. But the point that Elon is making as a very practical matter is there is work that needs to be done, and we do have jobs while that happens, and it's not all robotized. So we'll transition in that direction, but we still want to find a way to get the jobs done.
Yeah. I mean, if we look at the state of Alaska, the average person is subsidized $1,600, I think,
and that's
month.
from the extraction industries.
That's the Alaska Permanent Fund.
That's from the oil and coal and all the minerals that are extracted.
You get money as a citizen. Yeah.
Yeah, as a citizen. Or if you go to Norway, again, every citizen has the value of like $200,000 for each person that's given from the state of Norway because of their oil extraction. But here, in the United States, I think we, that's just an example of subsidies and universal basic income.
Yeah, well, we need to have a conversation about what is the value of a belly button to the society. Like, how do we generate wealth that gives us the ability to put money in those pockets?
Yeah.
Right?
So we have to look at these robots as actually producing an abundance of things. And so we're going to come into this society of abundance where it costs very little to produce things. And so that needs to be spread out through the society somehow.
Right. Yeah, the big laws of economics, they deal with the allocation of scarce resources, the distribution of wealth, and the supply and demand pricing system.
So you guys want personal robots? You handle that?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I would love that. Yeah.
Okay, well, so we got a ways to go because we're not the 10% yet.
We have jobs for the robots. We just don't have robots for the jobs.
No, I think that the turnaround is where the technology makes money for us. Right,
That's
where
the
it's going
plan.
out there. Yeah,
that's the first job of
the
our
next level
robot
of the
is make money for
Let's have some agency
our
in the
needs.
world. Yeah, let's or with us, make money with us. Probably is a better way to think about
Right.
it. This for us makes them slaves.
I think there's going to be, I'm working with Sasha, and we're trying to make AI apps for the iPhone, right?
Oh, yeah?
So, actually in January, they're going to, ChatGPT is going to produce these agents. And these agents are kind of, you got to think of them as kind of like your personal secretary, but it doesn't sleep. So while you sleep at night, it can be making transactions on the internet. And so it can be making money for you.
Really? So we want bots that can become Bitcoin traders for us?
You could have this.
I'm sure they exist. In fact, I know people who have been automating their Bitcoin wallets for years.
Yes.
Oh, so we'll play the market for you?
Yeah, and Bitcoin, it just jumped up to 93,000. Just if you look at it today.
Oh yeah, once Trump got elected, Trump and Kennedy said they put forth at the Bitcoin convention how much Bitcoin they're going to have the U.S. Treasury store as a reserve currency. I mean, they've got big plans for Bitcoin.
Yeah. So I would take a serious look at it. Try to. It does take a little bit of time to wrap your head around it to understand how it works, because it works on cryptography and a blockchain and all these other things. But once you get the idea how it can, how secure it is, it's probably a good time to take a small portion of whatever wealth you have and put it into it.
It's been that for years. Anybody who can be involved in Bitcoin, because it like any commodity, any currency, anything that is just a store of wealth, it has an upward trend. And if you can understand how to participate in that upward trend, you can be one of the people who benefits from it. But ultimately, we're going to turn over these math equations about how to distribute the wealth of the economy so that it's equitably used by the society.
It's a longer term. And meanwhile, it's 92,000.
The best accountants in the world, which is the AIs.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
We just have to get over a lot of personal issues before that can happen.
One Bitcoin's going to hit $100,000 soon, man. One Bitcoin.
Yeah.
It's 92,000 now.
Yeah, and you know what? In 2016, I think it was only $300 for a Bitcoin.
My goodness, yeah. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
No, we picked up a little bit just as a novelty in 2018 when it was at 6,000.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But
yeah, well,
we never expected it to be our mainstream. In fact, I took a class in how to trade Bitcoin with Brian Rose, and it just spun my head, and I realized that we are once again just in the market of people who want to buy low and sell high. And if you can handle the dynamics of that market, you can always make money.
But it's not going to be abundance for everyone in that model, though. Yeah, that's the problem.
No, those are the early adopters.
Yeah.
But ultimately, wealth generates wealth for all. Whether or not it's your primary focus. You have to decide how hard you want to work for that particular end.
Yeah, it's the idea of a rising
to
tide
get there.
lifts all boats, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, two more stories to cover. Richard Thays says that it does take 7 years to get to Titan. So it's a long journey to experience this, but it'll be interesting when we get there. With our small
It's funny. It's almost like Richard is communicating from the spaceship, and there's a latency
delay
on his way to Titan.
Last hour we talked about Titan, and yes, and now we're talking about it again because the
getting
feedback
messages about Titan.
Yes, 7 years ago
Just
we talked
a
about
little
Titan.
delayed.
And 7 years from now, no doubt we will again. And speaking of science fiction, I do find it was quite fascinating, the whole idea that we're finally, one of our classic science fiction films, they're finally going to make a movie out of.
Do tell. I know it's one of your faves.
Forbidden Planet.
Forbidden Planet.
One
The
of the
most
most-
influential sci-fi film of all time.
Yeah, that's right.
One
That's
of
right.
them, anyway.
Oh, man. Yeah. That was Anne Francis starring in, as the one woman.
Oh, man. I don't think they could make that same
Forbidden
movie
Planet.
today. Just having the guys try to seduce the father's daughter while the robot keeps him away.
Yeah, for those unfamiliar with it, it's just a 1956 retelling of Shakespeare's The Tempest. That's the...
I mean, put that next to Billy Bob Thornton and the Landman and his daughter. We're in a different world.
Well, it is. It is a very different world. But we still love our science fiction. And Forbidden Planet was kind of cool because, it was an interesting script. It was loosely adapted from Shakespeare's final play about marooned sailors on a magical island lorded over by a sorcerer, in Prospero. In this case, there was.
Have you know Shakespeare?
Yeah. Well, in this case, Prospero, he was a galactic adventure where a crew from a patrol spaceship, spaceship C-57D, real memorable.
We're back in Forbidden Planet
Yeah.
now.
You're right. And the spaceship lands on a planet called Altair 4. Altair is one of the first microcomputers. It was inspired by the story. And what did they find there? They were investigating supposedly a colony of scientists that had been forgotten. And there's one scientist left. And that he was warned to stay away. He warned the crew to stay away from the planet. That was Dr. Morpheus, or Pigeon. And he had the beautiful daughter, Altara. That was Anne Francis. But naturally, the commander of the spaceship, played by Leslie Nielsen, John Adams, did not stay away. And they soon discovered that there was this monster on the prowl that was very dangerous to everybody's existence. And that there was a mystery, long-perished alien civilization who had left an advanced technology behind, that was there on the planet as well. So it's a very fascinating story. And how are they going to recreate it? A lot of people think they'll never figure it out.
It's an alien eats alien world.
That's right. That's right. So they are going to try to do it. They're basing it on a guy who is famous for writing graphic novels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
what's his name? Is this writer Brian K. Vaughan?
Vaughan, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. That's right.
Right.
You're probably most familiar with his work in Ex Machina.
That was pretty amazing.
Yeah. And he also was attached to the TV series Lost when it first came out. He was a writer, story editor, stuff like that. Did 3 seasons. Spielberg got him to do a series called Under the Dome, which was a Stephen King story. And a lot of people thinks it shouldn't be done. Because
really?
with Robbie the Robot and the Morpheus, it's just such an epic film. How can anyone do anything better than that? But they have Vaughn working on the script, and they have one of Spielberg's main producers working on producing it. A woman named Watts. It's just something might happen with this, and they got a big budget, so that's underway. That's kind of exciting.
Forbidden Planet.
Forbidden Planet. Stay tuned for
coming up.
Planet.
All right. Do you want to read a little quote there from Greg? Again, another latency delay, a little comment on the Bitcoin
from the last story, yeah.
aspect of reality.
Yeah.
So we have Gregory, who for a long time has had this fascination with ultimate cybersecurity.
What's the best money we should have in the future?
Yes, and so he predicts. You'll have to read it because it's a little far for me.
I predict that nanocrystal tokens, essentially pieces of silica or diamond-like material with billions of points embedded in their structures, presumably with lasers, will replace digital currency.
There you go.
Nanocrystal tokens.
That's right, because they can't be copied.
Yeah, right.
They'll be unique, and you can have your very own.
That's still based on scarcity.
That's right. It's still based on scarcity.
Model.
Scarcity, privacy, crypto, all those things that we want less of because they're just bend your brain.
Well, I was just reading about the history of Mar-a-Lago the other day.
Yeah.
And it had belonged to the Post family, the cereal people. and before that, and it was kind of run down, and it cost a fortune to maintain. And the way it was turned around was Trump bought it for $7 million, like in '92, and turned it into a private club and made it very exclusive, only 500 members that had to sign up for $25,000 each. And by making it scarce and exclusive, it suddenly increased in value dramatically. And that's how the human mentality works. So to go towards an abundant economy where there's enough for everybody to go around almost doesn't make sense.
Well, how are you going to have elites if everybody has access? Come on, it doesn't work that way. Nothing's special if everything's special.
Yeah. I mean, there's that.
Prove me wrong.
There's that. But at the same time, does money have to be special to be valuable, or can you save that for works of art, for exceptional performances?
Well, let's just say every kind of economy exists under the sun, from volunteer and gift economies to I'm the only one who can do this economies, and everything in between.
And everything in between, right. Okay, well, I have one more story I want to cover, and it has to do about fat cells and how there's a study in Medical Express that
Okay, we got squeezed time. 3 minutes here, baby.
The takeaway from this major piece of science is that fat cells have memory, and that when you get fat, it remembers how happy it is. Fat cells are happy when you're fat. And it has a marker, like a thermostat in your house, and it remembers that. So when you lose weight, it wants to go back to that fat state.
Oh, those happy fat cells.
Happy fat cells.
You just can't get rid of them.
Take their way back to us, and they have a memory.
Can't live with them, can't live without them.
Because they have a memory and they want to return to being fat, they create what's known as the yo-yo effect in losing weight.
Uh-huh.
And then they call this the epigenetic element because these are markers on the genetics, not the genetics themselves. The markers that are the thermostat or the fat satiety level, where the fat cell is happy. Okay.
So the genes remember how fat you are for you and make sure that they keep you at that level.
They like to keep you at that level. That's right.
It's too bad they don't remember how happy you are when you're not fat.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is that...
Hey, 1 minute here.
The researchers say that you can avoid this by never being fat in the first place.
Uh-huh.
And the people that need to remember this are the elders and the kids. The kids never to get fat, and the elders, well, they make them exercise. Get them going. Move it.
Resist. Don't let your cells fool you.
That's your
You'll
way to
feel better if you're not fat.
That's right. So keep that in mind. In our 30 seconds to go. Oh.
You know what we do.
Okay, next time we'll probably be in Santa Fe. When we hear from you, we're going to visit my brother.
That's
in Santa Fe. Norm, looking forward to seeing you, buddy.
We're having Thanksgiving with someone we love to have Thanksgiving with.
Yeah. All right. So take care, folks. Enjoy your Thanksgiving holidays, and we'll see you next week. Thanks, Bobby, for being there.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you, Mrs. Future.
Love y'all. Have a great future now.
Bye. Bye-bye.